welcome to another episode of AP Taylor Swift, the podcast for Swifties who like to dive a layer deeper into the music. So lean in close, turn up your volume, because class is in session. We're your hosts. I'm Monsi.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Jody.
And we are your unofficial professors of Taylor Swift.
Hello and welcome to another episode of AP Taylor Swift. This week we are going to be doing a not sad at all episode on winter songs. So we have all picked songs that are some way related to winter, season of winter, whatever it may be. And there is a lot about winter as a literary device. And Monzi, I'm going to hand it off to you if you would like to share some more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Winter is a season. We've done a summer episode before. Seasons often come up in literature as motifs.
Did you forget our fall episode?
I was going to say,
our fall episode
was important.
Did I forget our fall episode? Yeah, somehow I had a blank. That's a deep cut. That's an old episode, and arguably one of our best ones. So
Arguably an arguable episode.
Definitely go back and listen. Yeah, we've done a fall and a summer episode because Taylor often references those seasons more. Even the way that she releases her albums, she often drops albums in the fall. I think she's dropped a few in the summertime. And so these are seasons that are just very interwoven with her music. There is another season that she also sings about, though, maybe not as much, but it's definitely there, and that is winter. Winter shows up in literature as motifs, almost themes throughout various books. And just like with any kind of symbolism, the way that certain colors or seasons or objects even can mean different things every time they show up in a book or a movie, winter is the same way. It often symbolizes things like death, endings, slumber, dormancy, like hibernation, hardship, like a cruel winter, or even really cold emotions. It can, though, often also have another side to it because winter takes us through the end of the year and into the beginning of the year. And so it can also symbolize purification and clarity, or the quiet before the renewal, a time for reflection and thinking and almost planning out your next course of action. So just some examples of where we've seen this in literature. I have some movie examples and poetry as well, but The Shining is based on a book by Stephen King, and it is set in the winter. I'm going to admit that I haven't actually seen The Shining. I was looking for
Okay, I do know The Shining, so I can talk about The Shining.
I was like, I don't know if I added this particular one into the notes.
I've read the book and seen the movie, but the idea of The Shining is that it's a family that's being caretakers of a hotel in the mountains of Colorado, and once they get there, the warning is like, hey, once the first snow hits, you're not going to be able to leave because the roads will be absolutely covered in snow. So like the isolation is not metaphorical, it is literal. Like they cannot get out. They have to use like a snowmobile if they want to go anywhere, and that's also like a pain, and they have to figure it out. So it's a mom, a dad, and a small boy in this hotel all winter long with no contact with the outside world.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of times you can have winter as this isolation thing. This reminded me of some random movie that I saw once where there were a bunch of kids trapped on a ski lift and then they get like eaten by wolves. But yeah, the sense of kind of foreboding creepiness of being trapped or iced in or snowed in definitely makes a lot of sense for winter. Another our first Disney reference of the day, Frozen, which came out in 2013. Elsa has these ice powers that plunge her kingdom into this icy winter, and it's something to be feared and something that she cannot control. Ice is so cold and hard and sharp and scary and can almost feel like a weapon or something dangerous. And then we see her kind of gain control over that power and then transform it into snow, which is softer and more manageable, and it just feels more welcoming in association with the holidays or nicer things rather than the cold iciness of the winter. And then Robert Frost has a poem called Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, and It's funny because Robert Frost's name is Robert Frost, and I always associate him with winter just as a human. But in this poem, the winter is both beautiful and foreboding. The snowy woods are tempting, but he also has various obligations in life, and he uses winter to just explore mortality and endurance. We have picked very different kinds of winter songs, so I'm interested in how this conversation will shape up because I think we're all picking kind of different elements of winter to focus on.
We are, but I will say, spoiler alert, all three of our songs are on a Spotify playlist called Saddest Taylor Swift Songs. So I don't know if that speaks to us or it speaks to winter or the use, how Taylor uses winter throughout her songs, but we will find out.
I also think that we have used her happier winter songs in our
In our
seasonal
holiday
holiday
episode.
episode.
Yeah.
Yes, except that didn't I use Tis the Damn Season isn't that happy and Champagne Problems. Like they're not that
That's true.
happy.
Yeah.
You should go
Yeah.
if you're looking for something I think what we talked about in our holiday episode, and this was going back 2 years, so talk about a throwback, was that they're kind of melancholy, and we kind of really reflected on the melancholia of the holiday season. I think I don't wanna let's see how winter measures up.
I also just want everyone to know that as we were discussing The Shining for listeners, Jody just got up and left, and Monty and I were like, all right, we'll just keep going. I thought like that Maisel had eaten something and you were getting something out of your dog's mouth, but no, she comes back of like 2 minutes later wearing a Michigan stocking cap. I'm
It's a
assuming to be on
stocking hat, it's a
theme.
winter hat. It's a
There
theme,
we
yeah,
go.
I sat down, I saw you in your Colts shirt, and I was like, I'm missing Michigan gear, and I'm missing something. Here we go. Monty was ready. She's got her beanie.
I represent the San Francisco winter,
San
so
Francisco
I mean,
winter.
relatively
okay,
light.
if we really want to get all in, give me 2 seconds and I
Yeah, you're
will
gonna
show
get
you
a
the
goose.
most aggressive, wintry, funny thing I own.
I mean, is that a humidifier in the background? Like, that's how you know it's winter. Humidifier next to a fan. That's what I have going on in my bedroom. I needed a costume. That's perfect. What is he?
This is Blue, the Colts mascot. Now we're ready to discuss winter.
I have the first song. I picked Back to December, which was Speak Now. Came out in 2010 originally. This was track 3 written by Taylor Swift and Nathan Chapman, and it was actually the second single from Speak Now as well. So it's kind of fun. There's also a music video, which we can talk about a little bit as well. So the obvious reason I picked this is because there's December in the title. That's it. Done. And who's next? Anyway, I'm kidding. So, yes, December in the title. I actually was kind of unsure at first because I thought, well, just because December's in the title, does that mean it's a winter song? So when you listen to it, there are other areas of the song that are less obvious than having December in the title, but still very much on theme for Monty, what you were saying earlier about the symbolism of winter. So there's a lot of contrasting of other seasons to winter, which makes it makes it even more clear how winter is meant to be categorized. If I go in order of the lyrics, the first kind of thing that comes up is the line, "You gave me roses and I left them there to die." We see this theme of things dying and wilting in winter quite often, not just because that's what happens in the Northern Hemisphere, but that is when we did our Greek mythology episode and I talked about the hymn to Demeter. That myth is all about how the origins of the seasons, and that when Persephone goes to the underworld, that became winter because everything dies and nothing can grow on earth. And then when she gets to go be with her mother in the spring and summer, things are reborn, everything is happy. And we kind of have that here. You gave me roses and I left them there to die. This is in December. The whole crux of the song is she broke up with somebody in December and now she regrets it. That's it. If you didn't listen to the song or you don't know it, I don't know what you're doing here as a Swiftie. But if you're not a Swiftie and you like our podcast, which I know there are a lot of non-Swifties who find our podcast approachable, which I really appreciate it. So if you're not a Swiftie and you're like, what is Back to December about? She broke up with someone in December. She regrets it. She wishes she could go back to that time and turn it around. So you gave me roses. You loved me. I left them there to die. So winter, when flowers die, when relationships, in this case, this relationship, wilt and die as well. Then we have, I believe this is the second verse. really setting up the contrast of other seasons to winter, which really kind of hammers home the winter symbolism here. I'm just going to read through the whole thing first, and then I'll go section by section. Then I think about summer, all the beautiful times I watched you laughing from the passenger's side, and I realized I loved you in the fall. And then the cold came, the dark days, when fear crept into my mind. You gave me all your love, and all I gave you was goodbye. So we have, I think about summer, beautiful times. So summer is being characterized as beautiful times, lots of laughter and lightness and fun. And then I realized I loved you in the fall. So fall then becomes the season of love,
Yeah,
which
we know Taylor loves to fall in love in
I was
fall.
just gonna say, I feel like,
It's
red,
cuffing season.
it is cuffing season, exactly. But then it shifts. And then the cold came, the dark days, when fear crept into my mind. So winter then is that next season, that next shift of cold, dark, fear, goodbyes, and loss.
I love that visual, that line and the visual of fear creeping in, because
Mhm.
when the winter arrives, it
It does creep.
always does feel kind of like a creep. Like if you don't pay attention of like,
Well, you're just like, how did this happen so fast?
how did this
Sometimes it's
happen? Yeah,
like,
like
how
one
are we
second it was
here?
here.
How am I in my puffy coat
Right.
already?
Yeah. And it's just like one day you wake up and it's cold
Yeah.
and it feels like it just came in overnight, you know?
Yeah. And I think what's interesting here is the reason I initially went back and forth about should I use this song for winter was it's probably not a song that takes place in the winter because you're saying I wish I could go back to December, but that's fine. It's more about the symbolism of December and winter. But I think that's what makes this an interesting song. Even if I go to the music video, oh my god, you have to go back and watch the music video because it's like peak 2010 goodness. The male character, do we go into who I mean, it's meant to be, or it's well thought of to be Taylor Lautner, which I feel like she confirms when she brings him
I
back.
think he has owned that
Yeah,
song.
everyone
So
owns
whether
it,
it's
but
about
like,
him or not, he's owned
right.
it.
So the man playing that character, the man in the Back to December music video, is like peak 2010s emo boy with like the kind of swoopy, very straightened hair with the leather jacket and the wool scarf and the skinny jeans and the combat boots. Oh my God, it's amazing. And then Taylor's like kind of moping around what looks like her first apartment in this like very 2010 shabby chic style. Jen just made a face.
Eh, you described it so well, and yet no words can really describe the truly 2010s emo
It is.
looking
It's perfect
of this
2010s
boy.
emo. The boy is Chef's Kiss, central casting 2010s emo boy. Taylor's in this like shabby chic, lonely, cold, I'm by myself in my first apartment situation. And then it like snows in her bathtub or in her bathroom or in the whole place. So yeah, I think this is a song I've wanted to do for a really long time because it is a classic in the Taylor Swift cinematic universe, but it's so depressing, and I think looking at it through the lens of winter makes it even more depressing
Yeah.
because it's about this regret. It's about this, like, I made a mistake, and, yeah, when I think about winter, I guess it just depends upon are we talking December winter, or are we talking January, February
Right.
winter? December winter, I usually associate with light and fun and holidays and love. January, February, sure, I think about that as, like, super cold, depressing, dark, fear,
That's so funny. I think
but
about it the opposite. I feel like December is like everything's ending, time is running out. Like, yes, holidays, but it feels like the end.
Mm.
And well, my birthday is also in January. So January is always like this happy fun.
See, it really depends. It
New
really
beginnings. I love an
Yeah.
agenda. I love resolutions. Like, I'm all about the new start. But yeah, there's something there to being stuck and wanting to go back to, right? Like, part of winter is that transition from the end to the beginning, the dead to the new. Like, you have to kind of get through the winter. It's not something that you are supposed to stay stuck in. And when she keeps saying, I want to go back to December, you get this sense of just being stuck in, and you keep wanting to go back to that state. And so it to me, it like symbolizes some of that stillness, frozen in time,
Think
if you will.
I also think the depressingness of it is a sad song, but it is one I feel is more nostalgic, maybe
Yeah,
because it was
wistful.
well, yeah, but it was also, like, just going into the larger context, a song that came out when I was, like, in high school, and we do know who it was about from Taylor, and we know that Taylor is happily engaged. Like, I think knowing we were gonna be doing this song and my song, which are both very kind of high school oriented, even last night, I had a dream about my high school sweetheart, and it was a very sweet, like, "Oh, it's so nice to see you. I hope you're doing well." Like, knowing how Taylor Swift and Taylor Lautner's friendship has
Right.
evolved. There's something about the song that, like, everything that happened, I think really with the Speak Now Taylor's version, like,
Mm,
I'm so normally not the person to go into, like, the rumors or the context, but something about the I Can See You music video, like, fundamentally changed this song for me of they are both so much happier
right.
now that this is now a, like, that was sad then, but, like, also a thank God kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
think there's something about this song which is an I regret it, but also it doesn't mean I would change it. Like, I mean, yes, the song said literally does say, like, I go back to December and I would change my own mind, but you can't do that. But, like, you can't do that, right? Like, I
But you
don't
can't, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
like,
I
if
would if
I
I
was there,
could, but I
I
can't.
would make a different like, if I could go back, I would, but also
Sure.
I can't, so here, I'm gonna give you this song, this says that I'm sorry, right? That there's this you can feel bad for doing something and wish you did it differently, right? I think
Yeah.
that's probably what I'm getting at, that, like, I would do this differently, and I definitely have moments like that where I'm like, yeah, and also in high school where I'm like, I wish I acted differently, like, I felt but, like, that is a time in your life where you
Yeah.
don't really have the most control over your emotions.
You're going back mentally. It's one of those things where you're
Yeah,
replaying it over and over in your head, but you're not obviously, you cannot literally go back to
right.
December, and so it comes with that knowledge of, "I wish I could do things differently." I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
That stuckness is definitely there, but at the same time, it is like we have clearly moved past, which is why we're going back in the first place.
Right,
You can't go
exactly.
back if you haven't
You can't go
already moved
back, but if
forward.
I could go back, I would do it a little differently.
But even the fact that she's saying I go back, she's not like I am stuck in that December. Like she's saying let's go, like I go back. It implies that
I
she has moved
reflect. Right,
forward.
she's not still at the restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. She's not still stuck in that one place.
Well, and to the winter thing, I'm just gonna read those 3 lines. "And then the cold came, the dark days when fear crept into my mind. You gave me all your love, and all I gave you was goodbye." And I feel like in some ways this song is saying, like, I would go back and change it, but also is an acknowledgement of I learned a lesson. My insecurities made me run away, and in retrospect, I shouldn't do that. So maybe the next time someone treats me well, I won't run away. You know, like there's sort of a lesson learned here.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, I have the next song. I am going to be doing The Moment I Knew. It's on Red. Came out in 2012 and was written by Nathan Chapman and Taylor Swift. I will say that Google Lyrics says that it's just written by Taylor Swift, but Nathan Chapman was a producer on the album. So I don't know, probably both. And I picked this song for a few reasons. First of all, it's really interesting that it's on Red because we associate Red very much, especially after the Taylor's version of the album came out, as a fall album. Maybe it was not as obvious as a fall album and originally when it came out, but we know that All Too Well has fall leaves and just has a lot of fall associations. We've talked about it on our fall episode. So it's interesting that there are two potentially winter songs that we're doing in this episode, or two songs in this episode that we're doing from the album Red. The song itself has a lot of hints that it is in the winter, starting with the very most obvious, Christmas lights glisten. The song opens up with "You should have been there, should have burst through that door with Baby, I'm right here, and it would have felt like a million shining stars." And then she goes into "Christmas lights glisten," so we know it's around the holiday times. We don't necessarily know if it's on Christmas Day or not, but then if we get through the song, we realize that it's actually her birthday and she was waiting for this person to show up on her birthday and they never do. And we know that Taylor Swift's birthday is also in December. If it wasn't about Taylor Swift, there's still Christmas lights. So I think we can squarely assume that this is in the winter time. But just knowing that it's on Red and knowing that all too well universe of it all, I think we can safely assume this is referring to a personal story. And that's how I came into this song as being a winter song. Now, within that, there are themes that such as waiting, definitely sadness, got the eye on the door, thinking about a relationship that was not going the way that she wanted to. Basically, the spoiler here is this person never shows up, even though she's waiting. And that is the moment that she knew that this relationship is probably not going anywhere and it's probably a dead relationship. And so, in our themes of death, dying, endings, bitter endings, kind of that coldness that you feel in a relationship that's not reciprocal, this song captures a lot of those emotions and themes. So it's a perfect marriage of the setting, the literal time that it's taking place in, but then also the fact that there was a moment in time where she knew this was not going to work and it happened around that winter season. And it's actually a very miserable night. The song is a very sad song. It's interesting because it's a young Taylor, so you really hear this kind of, I don't know, innocent love, naivety of like, I wanted everyone to be there for my birthday, and the one person that I cared more about than anyone in the world didn't show up, and it just feels really, really like sad and depressing.
I also love this song. I know it's sad, but it's gorgeous, and it was my piano song for one of my surprise songs. And let me tell you,
Were you just crying?
gorgeous. I was emotional, but it was more just like just her and a piano with this song was just like mind-blowingly
Mm.
beautiful. It's just a stunning song. It was the perfect song to be pared down to piano. Like it's the perfect piano ballad. It is sad, but it's just I just love it still.
I think that after we got the All Too Well 10-minute version and we have that
Mm.
line about
Mhm.
you're not supposed to feel sad turning 21, that put this song in a new light for me because I just hadn't thought that much about it before in the same way. And it feels like these are the same moment because it's a birthday, it's on the same album, it's around
Yeah.
the same times. So that has kind of, I think, made it even more depressing in my mind. But it's also like interesting because it's such a young Taylor, but it's such a serious song.
Yeah, you definitely see that this song is kind of a double click into that one line from All Too Well 10-minute
Did you just
version,
say
which is
double click on our
yeah,
Taylor Swift
I
podcast?
did. I'm sorry. Deep like,
Deep dive.
what's the
Unpacking.
non-corporate way
We're
to
unpacking
say
that one.
that?
Yeah, unpacking, going in
That feels
deeper.
corporate too.
Can we circle back to All Too Well 10-minute version, please?
I'll throw a time on your calendar for us to make sure we're aligned on this.
The song's depressing. This is a song that is, like,
End of conversation.
ripped out of a journal. Like, this is a journal entry,
Yes.
as most of Red is, but this song in particular feels like it was just what I wrote in my journal, I'm gonna put into music.
Yeah, I always liked the slow motion element of it. One, I think that's part of what makes the song beautiful. The way she sings it is very ethereal. But being slow motion in a party dress and red lipstick, watching everyone else laughing, looking around the room, like it is cinematic. You can see this in a film of her standing in the room sad and alone while everyone's laughing and she's like slowly looking around and just getting more and more heartbroken as it's clear that that person
Yeah.
is not there. And because of the Christmas lights, I'm imagining it's like a holiday party. So you're seeing like a Christmas tree, like everyone's in their holiday best. Like it's like supposed to
Nice
be the
sweaters. Yeah.
most, yeah, the most
Festive.
wonderful time of the year. And she's there and sad and alone.
Yeah, it made me chuckle a little bit. What that one line where she says, "What do you say when tears are streaming down your face in front of everyone you know? And what do you do when the one who means the most to you is the one who didn't show?" That the one who means the most to you just sounds so serious. And for a teenager, it's like interesting to think of like who is that person that means the most to you when you're like when you're just a teenager, early 20s. It's this context of like your life may be more than that and like this person shouldn't be your everything, but at the same time when you do think about like a birthday party, to not have the person that you
That you're
are with,
dating, yeah.
that you're
Yes,
dating,
sad.
show up at your birthday party is crazy. It's devastating. It is such a sad thing because that is in like your birthday in some ways is it's the one day that's entirely for you. And so there's something there about just the depth of emotion and how sad one feels, and why that was the moment that she knew of, like, where is this going to go? If you can't prioritize me, if you can't
Right.
prioritize this day, then where do we go from here? That it really feels like this definitive chapter ending.
On a positive note, at least she saw that this is the moment. You're like, I don't deserve to be treated like this, and
Yes.
this isn't gonna work. So
I
well
also
done.
also today we're really delving into the rumors because I think all of these songs are about very pointed relationships, but the thought of Jake Gyllenhaal like showing up to like a teenager's birthday party
She's
is
21.
also
Okay.
funny.
I know
Okay, she's
21
turning
feels
21.
like a teenager, but
It's
like,
kind of okay. Even then, like, does that
yeah,
change? Like
you
Jake
you
Gyllenhaal
feel
showing up
very
to a
adult
21st.
at that age.
Yeah.
Now I look back and I'm like, you're a baby. But at that age, and you're like, I'm 21. I can vote.
I can vote.
I can vote at 18. I can
I guess
drink. I meant drink.
I guess the point is if the person's old enough for you to date, like you should take their birthday seriously enough to show up. But
Yes.
the idea of that is funny.
Yeah, well, and I mean the two things that she specifically is calling out in the song is the Christmas lights and her birthday, and those are the two, for those who celebrate Christmas specifically, because she says Christmas lights, Christmas and your birthday are the two like most important times of the year to be with your loved ones. Like those are very important things. And so she's calling out both of them. And it could be because it's her birthday, so Christmas lights are up, so it's all about her birthday. Totally possible. But the specific Christmas lights call out is setting this environment
Yeah,
of
holidays.
of holidays, of togetherness, of like love, and
She doesn't have that.
she doesn't have that.
Abandonment. Yeah.
Well, shall we go even more depressing?
Yeah, that's me. Actually, this whole conversation has reminded me that I didn't take my antidepressants this morning. So when we stop recording, friends, please remind me. And we can keep this in. I am destigmatizing antidepressants. They have saved my life. So,
Uh,
but we need to
I'm
remember that I do
imagining
that.
Jen just spiraling.
Well, I am doing Forever Winter. And I am going to do an actual content warning. There is definitely depression, potential self harm themes of this song. We are ending with the most depressing, and I'm sorry for that. But it was written by Mark Foster and Taylor Swift, and it came out in 2021 as a vault track on Red Taylor's version. So, yes, we are doing another Red song, but this is one that was the vault. So, came out on Taylor's version of Red, was probably written around the time of Red, that whole thing. So, again, this is our most rumors fueled episode, but normally we don't do rumors, but I do think context is key in treating the song with like the correct amount of understanding and respect. So most people think that the song is about a friend of Taylor's, Jeff Lang, who did ultimately end his own life after a long struggle with mental health. The folks think that the song ruined the friendship from The Life of a Showgirl is also about this person. And so they were really good friends, which if you look at the song without that context in your mind, it might just seem like a weirdly toxic relationship. So that's why I wanted to add that context. Because this isn't just some moody, artsy emo boy. This is someone who's really going through struggles and she really cares about him. And that changes a lot about the song. So, and we get the mental health struggles from a few lines, like he spends most of his flights getting pulled down by gravity. So she's playing with this juxtaposition of being in the air, but being pulled down, and things like just you were breaking down, very straightforward, or I take that bomb in your head and disarm it, which I actually think is an incredibly, it's not the word beautiful, apt, elegant, correct metaphor for mental health, to see someone you love and want to just wish you could disarm what was going on. And so the idea is that she has a friend, she loves this friend who is really going through struggles, and then she reflects on her own sort of how much she loves him, of I'll be summer sun for you forever. It's forever winter if you go. So she's again, there's a lot of comparisons in this song. So flight and gravity, and then I'll be summer. It would be winter if you go. So like I'm trying to be bright, I'm trying to be sunny, but it'd be forever winter if you go. And like we've said, it's a really interesting comparison. We've got bright, we've got dark, we've got life, we've got death. It's a very bleak time of year. But the thing that I found really the most heartbreaking, I think, about this song, well, all of it, but the idea of forever winter, like you mentioned Persephone, of the idea is Persephone comes back. This is cyclical. Winter happens, but like Bonzi was saying, we get a new start. January comes, it's a fresh start. We get to buy that new agenda. But this is forever winter. It's permanent. It's no end. It made me think of actually The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, where in Narnia, under the White Witch, it's always winter, never Christmas. So the idea of you don't even get the fun thing that's happening in the winter. It's just always snow, always death. Nothing ever changes. And so she's saying if this person goes, which she's clearly very concerned that they will, it would be forever winter, which is a quick line, but when you really sit and think about it for a moment, is a very powerful thing to say.
Yeah, I recently had a death in the family. My grandmother passed away, and I was thinking about this when I was writing kind of my thoughts down on paper about how when somebody leaves, there's almost like this glow that you didn't realize has been there the whole time, and it feels like it's gone dark. And sometimes that's kind of the moment where you feel the absence of it all of a sudden, of like there was this glow, there was this warmth, and now suddenly it feels like it's gone. And that's a very real thing that so many people have written about, have talked about, use as a metaphor for sure, but it feels like something more tangible than just a metaphor. It feels like a literal thing in that moment when you're experiencing loss. And the fact that winter is something that's associated with cold and dark, it really feels like a way to capture that feeling in a really powerful, more everlasting kind of metaphor of it will be a cold, dark day if we lose that light and the warmth, but not just one day. It would be a cold, dark season or something that lasts much longer than just a day.
I think also similar to Back to December, obviously very different topics, but she's using the contrast of summer and winter to really hammer home the symbolism of winter and what it means. I'll be summer sun for you forever, forever winter if you go, right? Like she's really showing the disparity between the two, which I think to me highlights like summer is warm and light and full of life, and saying if you go, all of that will be gone. And I think that really hammers home the seriousness of this song even more.
Yeah, and there's so we will be deep diving this song, and I really want to pull at the threads of those extremes a little bit more as we deep dive it, because I think it's something that's really a theme throughout it. But the title of the song is also Forever Winter,
Right.
which is part of why I really obviously that is in the song, but the fact that she titled it that too, to me is saying like this, if you just hear Forever Winter, no one's gonna be like, awesome. Like I like winter, but
Yeah.
still just like for all of us, that's not good. Like we need the sun to come back. We need the cycles. Like that's so Forever Winter is immediately you're like you think cold, you think the sun setting at 4:30, you think all of those things, literally cold and dark and a lot of like emptiness. I also think of quiet when it snows, like even living in a big city, how quiet it is after snow. I think snow is beautiful, but there is something both beautiful and eerie about that just quiet when it's normally so loud. So it's just a lot of like nothingness in a lot of ways is what this is evoking. So we'll get into more of it as we deep dive, but to title it Forever Winter was like she's slapping it right there at the top of this is the not even aesthetic, but this is just the feeling of what's going to be happening in this song.
Yeah, Jen, you had the word bleak written in your notes, and I feel like that is such an apt word
Right.
for winter. Bleak.
I don't know if we really want to discuss well this is a question I have that I was going to say from when we did ruin the friendship, but I this could be a more positive end or just
Please.
interesting conversation. So the thought is that ruin the friendship because it is about someone who did take their lives and it's her kind of going back and regretting never making a move. Do you think her advice in Ruin the Friendship is good advice? And for those of you who maybe haven't listened to it recently or haven't like digested the lyrics, in Ruin the Friendships, she says basically like she's going through moments with this friend where she's saying, I should have ruined the friendship. I should have kissed him. I should have made a move. And it would have been like either it worked out or our friendship was over. But now that this person is no longer here, she'll never know. And so there's like lines around like better to ruin the friendship than to never be able to answer the question.
I do think it's good advice depending upon how you implement it. Like don't just go up and kiss somebody, right? Like the consent, please. But I do think there's something to not living with regrets and not knowing, right? I think not knowing and not having an answer is one of the hardest things to live with. And what you have to overcome to quote unquote ruin the friendship is your own fear of somebody saying no, right? Either someone says, yes, I like you too, which case, great, you never would have known. Or they say, no, I don't feel that way about you. And at least you know. So I do think it's good advice when implemented properly. And sorry for using the word implement because that also makes me think of work.
Yeah, because then it becomes more about how you handle the rejection, which is
Right.
something that is in your control,
Right.
as opposed to something that wasn't in your control. And also, like in Ruin the Friendship, her examples are like, don't shake up second period. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
this
right.
is like low stakes. Like we can shake up second period. It's not going to be the end of the world.
Well, yeah. And I had a moment in high school. I had a boy that I had a huge crush on for like all of high school. And of course I waited until like spring of senior year to tell him I have a crush on him. And he was like, I know. So I was like, great, thanks. I'm glad I am. And like we didn't date, but at least I said something.
Yeah.
And that made me feel better than like going my whole life being like, oh, what if I had said something? What would my life look like? No, I said something. Great.
Yeah. I
I
think
think the only negative in that song is at one point it was not convenient, no, but your girlfriend was away. And then there's
That's what I'm
another kind of
saying.
where
How you go about it is important.
but also like
the
high school
details
relationships, like, oh, your
Yeah.
girlfriend is away. Like,
Speaking of the person who married her high school sweetheart, I love that you're the one that was like, who cares about high
Monty's like
school?
high school relationships
Don't
don't
matter.
matter.
I just think it's on the guy to say, hi, I have a girlfriend that I'm serious about, right? Like in that situation, if it's not meant to be, it won't be. It doesn't matter what the other person does. But yeah, I mean, like I think the point is that you shouldn't, if there's something that you want to do, you should seize the day and do it.
Yeah.
And not just think about what could have been. That being said, I do think that when somebody passes away in that moment, even if you lived your entire life without regret or overthinking it, in that moment, you are going back and reflecting and questioning every single thing. And so I think there's a little bit of it also just being that. Like, even if she knows it would have never worked out and their lives went in really different directions, and at the end of the day, they were just really different people, in that moment when you experience that loss, you go through and kind of pick everything with a fine-tooth comb, and you think about, maybe if I had done this and things would have been different, or things would have turned out differently. And I think it's a very human tendency to want to blame your own actions as a way of trying to regain control on a bad situation, of saying, like, clearly it was me. I'm the problem. If I had only done this, then we could have prevented this thing. Humans are just, yeah, I mean, we're narcissistic creatures. We feel like, oh, maybe if there's something that I had done differently, I could have prevented this. But it's not like that usually. And to me, this is a little bit about overthinking versus not.
Well, as depressing as this episode has been, perhaps the uplifting moment is seize the day.
Ruin the friendship.
Yeah.
And January brings, well, for everyone except for Jody, it's new hope.
Wow.
Jody's the only person in the world who has seasonal depression.
On that note.
Well, Jody also lives in one of the colder. Actually, Jen, you
Jen
too
does.
this year, but I'm like, both of you live in colder parts of the world.
Yeah, but
than me.
it's so supposed to be a snowy winter, and I love the snow. So
I
Me
do love a
too.
snowy
I'm
winter.
so excited. I will also say I moved from a cold place, so it's
To
not
a
like my
colder
life
place.
is any colder.
I did not know what the weather is like in Indiana. I'm not gonna lie.
Cold.
I just
It's
know
like-
Chicago's cold.
It's 3 hours south of Chicago, so it's the same.
And you could vote at 18, not 21. Join us next week as we deep dive Forever Winter. Maybe not the happiest song, but you know.
That's all we have for you today on AP Taylor Swift. Be sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on your social channel of choice at AP Taylor Swift to stay up to date. And join us next time as we overanalyze and deep dive into the next Taylor Swift song on AP Taylor Swift.